So, short video here explaining my reasoning behind why Miquella is the second strongest demigod behind Ranni, being the likes of Malenia, Radahn, Mesmer, Morgott, Mohg, etc. Because I've made a few shorts previously and a post expressing my opinion that Miquella is up there. Without much explanation yet though, so this is it. So just for a baseline for his power as a demigod, he should still be in the top 3, considering that Empyreans are consistently demonstrated to be the strongest of the demigods, as Ranni and Malenia very clearly are. This also just works hand in hand with their narrative of being the one to replace Marika in godhood, the Empyreans having to mirror her journey as well to ascend to that position, which I personally believe them to consistently scale to Marika as well. This being because of how all 3 of them, in some chain or another, all scale above beings like Prime Renala pretty casually, who is noted to be a rival to an extent to early Radagon. Now as to why Miquella himself should be above the likes of Malenia, I think a lot of evidence just points this being the case very clearly. For one, Malenia herself just outright says he's the most fearsome demigod, this just implying he was the most frightening, which while that doesn't exactly mean power on its own, he just blatantly wouldn't be that scary if he doesn't have the stats to even use his power, and his power didn't have the potency to affect characters like Malenia. This is consistent with the fact that in the DLC, we meet Ansbach, a devoted follower of Mohg's, and in his dialogue he makes statements regarding the fact that he believes he could, with enough mastery, slay an Empyrean, and yet he then goes on to say Miquella was far too powerful for him, and later on says Miquella is too strong for him to ever hope to defeat. I think Ansbach's claim of being able to eventually kill an Empyrean is justified under the context of the fact he would likely be using Mohg as his reference, if not just using Malenia herself as such, considering Ansbach is a logical and rational character. I don't see why he would make the claim in the first place that he could perhaps kill an Empyrean if he had no actual grounded basis for their power. Ansbach goes on to fight Radahn and Miquella alongside us and can keep up for a time, so Ansbach isn't really anyone to scoff at. I think Miquella would just have to be narratively superior to Malenia and the other demigods, just due to the aforementioned factors. There's also the fact that he creates unalloyed gold and the unalloyed golden needle, which can outright negate the effects of outer gods like the God of Rot and Flame of Frenzy. Miquella also eventually creates a spell surpassing Radagon's own Ring of Light, implying he becomes superior to base Radagon as far as incantation potency goes. And this should be prior to his full ascent to godhood, considering he demonstrated it to and taught it to his followers. On the topic of godhood, it's also worthy to note the fact that Miquella is already a good portion of his way to godhood as a demigod, same with how Ranni is, which I think just adds consistency to the fact that they're the strongest demigods at the time. As for when he ascends to godhood, he should just be on the same level as Marika without the Elden Ring. I think this for multiple reasons. As for one, even prior to his ascension, Miquella would have to have feats, Miquella would have the feats in portrayal similar to, if not greater than that, of early godhood Marika after her own ascension. As that Marika would scale to a degree to Renala, who Miquella kind of just bullies based on what I established prior. As well as the fact that if you take the Mesmer statements hyper literally, then Mesmer does have the potential to be stronger than early godhood Marika, so I'd consider it consistent that Empyrean Miquella is above early godhood Marika. I also think that a lot just implies Miquella is on the level of Marika post-ascension. Not only do they both post-ascension create a new abysmally strong spell not based on order or fundamentals, but it's also stated in light of Miquella that only one god and one king consort are needed in the world, which implies Miquella and Radahn are on a similar level to Marika and Radagon overall without the Elden Ring. No, Marika shattering the Elden Ring doesn't mean she's overall eclipsing Miquella or Ranni or anything. That's based on physical strength, which she obviously surpasses them in. But their abilities lie mostly in spells, in which that just means their output in that metric makes up for that gap in physical strength. It's also deemed seemingly impossible for the Tarnished to beat Miquella and Radahn, this being, as I mentioned in the Mateer video, likely a Tarnished post-Mountaintops but pre-Farum Azula. So that means Miquella and Radahn are just, to a pretty significant degree, above Rock Goddess Malenia as well as Prime Baal, as they would upscale the Baal we fight earlier on, who is stated to be brought back to his peak in his second phase. So Miquella is just very consistently in that upper echelon of power. Another relatively short video here though, but I hope that sums it up to you all, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Peace.